Hello there and a warm welcome to Africa Tonight, a window to your continent. Apologies there for coming to you slightly late. Of course, we had to accommodate the President of South Africa as he was addressing the nation post the Court ruling on the Nkandla saga. Right about now, it's time to take a look at other stories making headlines from the African continent. The United Nations reveals shocking sexual abuse claims in the Central African Republic. More than 100 victims have come forward with appalling new accounts of sexual abuse, including bestiality. Libya's United Nations-backed unity government wins the support of Tripoli residents. Hundreds flock to the streets of Tripoli to show support to the new government. And Egyptian archaeologists complete a more extensive scan on two recently discovered hidden chambers behind King Tutan's tomb. On to our top story tonight. Ivory Coast former President Laureant Gbagbo made history in January as the first former head of state to be tried by the International Criminal Court. The 70-year-old is accused of crimes against humanity in the wake of disputed presidential polls that took place in 2010. Gbagbo ruled Ivory Coast for 10 years until his arrest by forces loyal to current President Alassane Ouattara. His arrest stems from 5 months of post-election violence in which some 3,000 people were killed and many more wounded. He is charged alongside former militia chief L.Gbagbo. Both men deny charges of murder, rape and persecution, and Gbagbo is accusing France of organizing a plot to remove him from power. The trial is expected to last 3 to 4 years. Well, joining me in studio is Laureant Gbagbo spokesperson Justin Kone Katinan. Also joining us via Skype from Russia is Professor Alex Meziev, head of the Department of International Law at the University of Management Kazan in Russia. He's also an editor-in-chief of the Kazan Journal of International Law and International Relations. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Katinan, your first time on the show. It's a pleasure to have you. I will start with you. You have also been implicated in Laureant Gbagbo's charges at some point, or was it a different charge? How do you see this trial panning out at the ICC?
Okay, before going ahead, I would like to correct something. I read your statement. Firstly, L.Gbagbo was not chief of militia. L.Gbagbo, he was the leader of our youth organization. He was not military. He didn't work head of his militia. And he was a ministry in our government. So if we are going to correct this issue, to be clear about that.
No, that's fine. You're also a minister at some point
of former minister
Ivory
of
Coast.
Finance,
so you worked with him as well.
Exactly, and currently spokesperson. It made things clear for everybody.
Well, thank you for that. You may go ahead and tell us exactly how you think this ICC trial is panning out. I know that the Ivory Coast has said that this is a political arrest, and you know it's a collusion from France and the United Nations as they try to, I don't know, be part of Ivory Coast and somehow, I don't know, take over from the government?
The thing happening is clearly, in the same statement you told that President Gbagbo, to be clear that we must understand the situation was clear. President Gbagbo has not been arrested by Ouattara, the current president of the force. He has been arrested by French army, French military. We understand it. The French military who arrested President Laurent Gbagbo. The issue of President Laurent Gbagbo ICC is simple. It is for us a political issue who must be new political outcome. But unfortunately, people wanted to judiciarize this issue. But this issue is simple. President Laurent Gbagbo, according to our constitution, he won the election 2010. It's the one, his adversary, who will contest the election, who did well against him. It is the two. But the issue is that President Laurent Gbagbo, or Ouattara, the current head of state of Cote-d'Ivoire, who was backing, and still backing by, how we call it, Nicolas Sarkozy, who was the former president of France. He is his friend. He just used the government, French government mean to just help one of his friends to take power by violence in Ivory Coast. This is true with what happened there. So for us, Gbagbo is just facing a political trial because he was African progressive, only for that.
Right, allow me to invite into the conversation Professor Meziev. Professor, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Apparently, a lot of people were involved in the atrocities that happened in Ivory Coast, but Gbagbo is the one who's being held responsible. You're well versed with the trials that happened in the ICC. What is your take on this?
Yes, you are right, noting that so many people were involved in the crisis in the Cote-d'Ivoire. But what we see as a policy of the ICC prosecutor, the prosecutor of ICC issued an indictment only against Mr. Laureant Gbagbo and his minister, and by the way, against the wife of the president of Cote d'Ivoire. And even they are always trying to stress, I mean the office of the prosecutor, they always mention, yes, that they are supposedly prosecuting another side, but where are the results? Where the indictment, any indictment against the other side? And by the way, let me draw your attention to the fact that already during the trial, I think it was already happened in March, that the prosecutor, during the open session, admit that the French forces fired on protesters and they killed people. So the prosecutor admits this openly. But where the indictments? So what we are witnessing now, it's a clear attempt only to prosecute one side. And by the way, let me also draw your attention to the fact that President Gbagbo was waiting for trial more than 4 years. It violates all standards of the rights of the accused. And we could not expect such violations from the supposedly one of the best international court. But there is an explanation for that. They could not start trial for more than 4 years because they don't have witnesses. Look, what happened during these 2 months. The prosecution presented only 5 witnesses, and all of them were secret, except of one. And by the way, this last witness was also expected to be a secret one, but he appears on his own name because this accidental revealing of his identity by the presiding judge. So this shows to us that this trial is not fair at all from the beginning.
Thank you, Professor. I'll bring this question back to you, Mr. Katinan. 3,000 people have died since this conflict happened. Someone has to be held accountable. Just as the professor said, there's a lot of people who are involved in this crisis. Who's responsible for what? Does Mr. Gbagbo at all take responsibility in what happened, you being his spokesperson?
I want to read, we have more than 3,000 people die. A commission created by Ouattara himself declared that more than 7,000 people had been killed. Not 3,000. 3,000 have been announced by, we don't know by who, but really it is 7,000. It is what has been reported by the commission created by Ouattara himself. Who must be accountable for that? It's Ouattara. For us, it is the current president of Ivory Coast. He was the unique, the single, and the only one responsible of what happened in our country. It's clear. Because Gbagbo didn't lose the election. Because if we want to know the truth about the issue, we have to go inside and say who really won the election in 2010. I told you that it's not the UN, it's not EU, nobody will say in Africa who win election. We have, like other countries, as South Africa, America, we have our own constitution, and we empower some institution to say who win election or who lost election. It's not a government, UN, it not belong to any country to say who win election. According to our constitution, the one who won the election in 2010 is Laureant Gbagbo. And when the conflict came out, President Gbagbo just asked, okay, if you don't think that I really won the election, can we recount the voice? It's just because French government said, no, we don't want to recount the voice. We want to do war. Between recounting the voices and doing war, who is better for the humanity? So if you want to know who is the main responsible for what happened in our country, it is Ouattara and Sarkozy. both are the most, normally both of them must be those who are before ICC, not President Laurent Gbagbo.
Professor Meziev, what excuse has the ICC prosecution given with regards to just laying charges to one side of the party and not the other side? That obviously, you know, this was a crisis, two sides or more were fighting at the same time.
Your question is quite interesting. You're right, but let me draw your attention to the following. That this case against Mr. Laureant Gbagbo, in fact, is very easy case, because I notice that nobody is presenting the main argument. Mr. Gbagbo is always accusing of committing crimes, but prosecution always say he never committed crimes himself. So the point of this case is to prove that A, Mr. Gbagbo were not elected, and second, he made orders to commit crimes. So let's come to the point first, that Mr. Gbagbo was not elected as many institutions, including international institutions, claims. This case could be proved in 1 minute, because according to the constitution of the Republic of Cote-d'Ivoire, not the decision of electoral committee, but decision of the constitutional court prevails. Nobody even talk about this. I mean, from the prosecution. So prosecution acted like they never read the constitution of the Cote d'Ivoire. And second, to prove the point 2, whether there were orders. I just give you another, just let me repeat my previous argument, that during 4 years the prosecution could not prepare arguments. And why they are presenting these secret witnesses? These tactics is usually used in a case when witnesses are lying. So it's making very difficult for the defense to cross-examine such witnesses that could claim anything. So according to international norms, every trial, including international trials, should be public. And presenting secret witnesses is a violation of the rights for public trial, and we should understand why the prosecution uses this. They use this because they are making up so-called evidence.
Thank you, Professor. Mr. Katinan, the professor says there's a lot of discrepancies in this trial. First of all, it's a private court hearing. It should be made public, and that they don't have a watertight case against Mr. Gbagbo. If Mr. Gbagbo were to be convicted and jailed, so to speak, like what has happened with his wife and his son, I understand, what kind of tensions could this cause in Ivory Coast? You know, there has been tensions before that have kind of quietened down right now, but he still has a lot of supporters in the Ivory Coast, I understand. Yeah,
Gbagbo has a lot of supporters in Ivory Coast, and we are, every day, people are doing some demonstration in Paris, anywhere, Paris, Berlin, Brussels, to denounce what's happening in Ivory Coast, to complain about what happened in Ivory Coast. So, if really you don't have a true justice, or we have an unfair trial against Laureant Gbagbo, and he convicted to stay in jail, to be sure that our country will know another war. We believe on that.
Why is the International Criminal Court looking at this case? Why are they investigating this case? Shouldn't this have happened in Ivory Coast, or are they well within their jurisdiction to be trying to investigate and convict Gbagbo at this point?
No, the issue is simple. ICC, to be honest, I want to be honest with you.
Please, go ahead.
Me, I don't believe in ICC. I don't believe in ICC because, for me, ICC is a political body just created to manipulate or to get to keep influence, control on African country. I know that because, let me tell you something. They could try in going home, and the prosecutor brought many witnesses to come to sustain her allegation. The only witness she broke, because you know the broadcasting in live, the trial is broadcasting in live, so we can follow in TV. the own witnesses of the prosecutor came and claimed that Laureant Gbagbo is not guilty, he is not responsible for what happened in our country. We must free him. I'm telling you about the witnesses bringing by the by the prosecutor himself. So we will know that what happened there is a political issue. They want just to just condemn an innocent person just because he wanted to change many things between our continent and the European country. So it's just for that. We know it's a political issue. But do you know that normally justice is made to bring peace and reconciliation. But when justice is unfair, it can bring more and worse situation than what you would suppose to correct. Do you get me?
Indeed, I absolutely understand you. Thank you so much, Mr. Katinan. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Of course, this is a topic for another day. A lot more we could actually explore on this issue, but of course, we are grateful that you managed to come here and give us your insight on this issue.
Thank you very much.
Let me also take this time to thank Professor Meziev all the way from Russia, just giving us, of course, his insight on the ICC case with Laureant Gbagbo. Well, let's move on.